Bowman Gray to Thompson Speedway, Greenville Pickens to Irwindale Speedway. It's
NASCAR Coast to Coast, presented by Hercules Tire.
Now here's a couple of guys who think Days of Thunder is the greatest movie ever made. Kyle Rickey and Buddy Law.
NASCAR's first champion is crowned for the season, and he's one of NASCAR's newest stars. Gregson makes it 3 in a row, turning both left and right. And we visit with one of our NASCAR Whelen All-American Series champions from a track that has sadly hosted its final race. Welcome to NASCAR Coast to Coast for Wednesday, September 21st, 2016. Kyle, Rickey, and Buddy Long back together again. It's been a while.
It's only been 2 weeks, but it seems like it's been a month.
Well, you think 2 weeks ago I was in Connecticut.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
At Thompson.
Right.
You were with
Andy Seiss.
Andy Seiss. And then last week you were away, and I was with Andy Seiss.
They'll find the right combination of who they want on this show one of these days.
He's been putting the chrome horn to the both of us.
Yeah, I know.
I guess that's what,
I did catch the tail end of the show, and, yeah, he was a little mad because he knew he wasn't going to be back on this week. So.
You tried.
Yeah.
You tried.
He tried to spin me out? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah.
I played James Savali, and I beat him, right?
You did. You did. Speaking of James Savali, he was the big winner this past weekend of the NASCAR Whelen Southern Modified Tour race, an event that Andy struggled in, lost a little bit in his run for a third consecutive Southern Modified Championship.
Yeah, it's going to be tough with 2 races left to go at Caraway Speedway, which is a track that Andy does very well at, but it's very tough because we've seen some new faces. Good to see and hear Bobby Meismer Jr. on the show last week with his first win ever at East Carolina, and then James Savali. But we know, you know as well as I do, coming down to the wire between Andy, Burt, and the way Burt Meyer's season has been going, it's just been phenomenal. He's really going to have some chinks in his armor these last 2 races for Andy to have a shot.
Burt has a 19-point lead over Andy Seiss with 2 races to go. George Brunholzl III is 29 points back. Danny Bone is 4th. Bobby Meismer Jr. rounding out the top 5 of the NASCAR Whelen Southern Modified Tour Championship. James Savali did pick up the win, first in 6 years on the Southern Modified Tour over Kyle Bonsignor. I believe a career day for him this past weekend. George Brunholzl III, Danny Bone, and Burt Myers rounded out the top 5 from the event this past weekend at the South Boston Speedway. Built the car count up a little bit. They had 16 cars there, and for the first time in a long time, caution-free.
Mm-hmm. So. And it looks like a good car count this weekend at Caraway Speedway as well for the finale at that track. Obviously, they go to Charlotte Motor Speedway here in just a couple of weekends, but a good year overall. I mean, we've seen some new faces in Victory Lane. I mean, we've used to seeing whether it be Georgie, Andy, Burt, Kyle Ebersol, J.R. Bertuccio. We saw those 5, but now you're seeing some other names in addition to those drivers that are also on the series in James Savali, Bobby Meismer Jr., and as you mentioned, Kyle Bonsignor, so very close to that first career victory, and it could come before the season concludes.
I think we'll see like a Ryan Preece show up at Charlotte Motor Speedway in a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of other northern guys that want to get in the big track spotlight because that event is held part of pole night for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series as they get set for the Bank of America 500 later on that weekend. I think Burt Myers is going to be hard to beat because he's consistent at Caraway and really good at Charlotte because that track very similar to Bowman Gray Stadium. He won there, I believe, 2 years ago when Andy won his first championship. Burt was standing in Victory Lane.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a tough nut to crack for some of the other drivers chasing him down. Already taken the Bowman Gray Championship and looking to make the double dip with the Tour Championship here in a few weeks.
Other action this past weekend, the NASCAR Cayden Pro Series East ran their penultimate race at the
you love seeing
I
that
do
one?
New Jersey Motorsports Park in Millville, New Jersey. Noah Gregson had picked up both wins 2 weeks ago at the Utah Motorsports Complex and came right back last week and won the Cayden East event in New Jersey. Held off point leader Justin Haley for the win over Haley, Kyle Benjamin, Colin Cabry, and another good run by Dominique Van Werrigen. We're seeing her more and more in the top 5. I believe if it wasn't for that wreck in New Hampshire, she'd, it kind of broke a lot of her momentum that she was building in the midsummer. She'd be maybe not contending for the championship, but definitely for a spot either in the top 3 or the top 5 in points.
No, she's really emerged as one of the top female drivers on the series this year, done a phenomenal job, and I agree with you 100% on that. Another name I like to call out that we saw in that top 10 that Robbie put up a few moments ago, Tyler Hughes.
Yep.
Another driver that runs weekly at the Dominion Raceway in Thornburg, Virginia. Had a top 10 run. I believe he finished 8th in the event, so it's always good to see some new, fresh faces, wondering if some of these drivers have some gigs coming up for next year, because I also noticed Colton Nelson, I think, is the champion in the modified division at the Meridian Speedway. He's on the entry list for this weekend's race for the K&N Pro Series West. So good to see some new faces that could be a potential preview to what we may see next year.
Absolutely. Speaking of the West, the one race remains, Dover International Speedway in a couple of weeks. The East, that is.
Yeah.
Not the West. West is this weekend at Meridian. Then we go back east. Justin Haley has a 29-point lead over Kyle Benjamin going into that event. Those two have pretty much driven away from everybody else. Tyler Dipple is third in points, 101 markers back. Noah Gregson and Hunter Bays, fourth and fifth, each 105 out. Then we see Dominique Van Weringen in the 10th spot, a driver, again, I believe that if she hangs on to that ride for next season, she'll be contending maybe for the championship, but at least for a top 3 or top 5 spot in points. I expect her sophomore season to be a lot better, just the way she has improved from the start of the year to now.
You know, it was interesting when you and I did the New Smyrna race, and that's a very abrasive racetrack, and I think Greenville Pickens as well. She was up towards the front, and these drivers have done such a tremendous job, as we've said all year long, tire management. Such young kids, but learning how to manage tires. And I think she did well in both of those events also. She has, it's again another driver that's had a great maturation, you know, making the transition from what it was might have been a super late model in asphalt a year ago to running the K&N Pro Series East circuit, and pretty much is the equivalent, the Eastern equivalent, I would say, to a Julia Landauer. The series on both sides looking very good as far as some good young female talent.
Absolutely. And there was one other division in action this past weekend, the NASCAR Pinty Series. Hard to believe. Well, I guess it's not because it's the middle of September. But they wrapped up their season, the first NASCAR touring division to do so. They're the last ones to begin in May. 12 races in a short span of time. Jason Hathaway was the big winner at the Kawartha Speedway this past weekend over Cayden Lapcevich, the championship-winning driver. Alex Labbe finished in third, DJ Kennington fourth, and LP Dumoulin rounded out the top 5. And again, a great car count to end the season for them, a great car count all year. But he kind of ran away with the championship. We usually brag on this series and how it comes down to the final lap of the final race, usually between 2, 3, maybe 4 guys. Not this season.
He caught Andrew Ranger, went around him, and drove away from him as far as the point standings were concerned, something that is not heard of on the Pinty Series, as Kyle just mentioned. And if people just looked at who the winners were at the beginning of the year, you really need to look deep into the top 5, top 10. Cayden never finished outside the top 10 all season long. He was right in the thick of the battle from the very beginning. It may have been Tagliani, Ranger, Alex Labbe scoring the victories. Cayden was right there, a second, a third, a sixth, an eighth, which I believe was his worst finish of the year a couple times. But just incredible. I mean, the consistency of a young 16-year-old driver, which shouldn't surprise us because we see it every day in the K&N program, but did it very well, one of the young guns in the Pinty Series, so that future looks very bright.
Won the championship by 54 points over Andrew Ranger, or as I like to say, Andrew Ranger. Alex Tagliani, third in the final championship standings at 59 points behind Lapcevich. Kevin Lacroix finished in fourth, and LP Dumoulin rounded out the top 5, 62-point separation. And a treat for us today, the first NASCAR champion of the season and the youngest ever in NASCAR racing, Cayden Lapcevich, will join us here in studio here in a few minutes.
Looking forward to it. Glad to see that he's down here in Concord, North Carolina, trying to pick his brain a little bit about the season and what the future holds for this young driver. Of course, if he's running the Pinty Series next year, he's got until May, so we got a long off season.
Yeah, we do.
So we got to figure out what Cayden's going to be doing.
Absolutely. A couple of track champions will also join us on the show today. Matt Boland picked up the championship at the South Boston Speedway. I believe that's his second consecutive championship and third at that racetrack. Wasn't the best of nights for him last Saturday night, but he was able to get the championship.
Yeah, blown motor in that second race kind of hurt him because obviously a bigger picture that we'll talk about a little bit later on in the show involving Keith Rocco, Ty Majeski. We're coming down to the wire. But you look back, overall, the entire season, I think 31 was the biggest number of cars they had, and that was at the beginning of the year. But I think all season long, the lowest number that they had for a car count was 17. A lot of racetracks would kill just to have 17 this year, even though that's one number below what you need to get the maximum points. But what a great season at South Boston. He follows in a great tradition, winning championships like Peyton Sellers, Timothy Peters, Barry Beggerly. You know, so many great names have come out of South Boston Speedway, and he just added his name to that list as well. We'll
talk to Matt coming up in a little bit. Also, Kyle Purvis, the champion, the late model champion at Columbus Motor Speedway, a track that sadly will go away at the end of the season. It has hosted their final event. I think some special off-season EVA Destruction type events coming up. But
We're going to
outside
the
of that,
Crash-Rama this weekend, right?
I think I'm ready. Let's go. But sadly, Columbus Motor Speedway will go away off of the NASCAR schedule and for a racetrack in general. We'll talk to Kyle about that and his championship season. But coming up, in-studio guest Cayden Lapcevich will join us after the break.
NASCAR Coast to Coast will be right back on MRN.com.
Greasy grime on your vehicle could take hours to clean, but not with Super Clean. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, buy one bottle of Super Clean all-wheel, multi-purpose, or foaming degreaser and get one free. Plus, earn double points during O Rewards Member Appreciation Month. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Live sports are the one true reality entertainment, where a single dramatic moment can become timeless. In NASCAR, Motor Racing Network's live broadcasts elevates your senses to the sights, sounds, and struggles taking place on the racetrack.
One final lap in the Daytona 500. Joey Logano has the point. Junior crosses over.
The power of radio to the imagination of the listener. Tune in to the Motor Racing Network. Visit MRN.com for an affiliate list in your local area.
Are you ready?
To help children forget about their serious medical conditions so they can just be a kid. Then support Victory Junction, which is the dream of late race driver Adam Petty, who wanted to build a camp where children concentrate on fun and laughter, not illness or disability. At Victory Junction, kids enjoy ziplining, horseback riding, swimming, fishing, all in a medically safe environment, all at no cost to the camper. What do you say, Richard Petty?
Let's do this.
Learn more at victoryjunction.org.
MRN's Winged Nation presented by Hercules Tire. Tuesdays at noon Eastern on MRN.com, the MRN app, and YouTube.
Hi, I'm Donnie Schatz.
I'm Shane Stewart.
I'm Brian Brown.
Steve Post and Aaron Evernham talk with the race winners and newsmakers.
Hi, I'm Dale Blaney. Hi, I'm Sammy Swindell.
Hi, I'm Paul McMahon.
Winged Nation, live Tuesdays at noon Eastern, or on demand in the MRN.com Media Center, iTunes, and YouTube.
Hi, I'm Stevie Smith, and you're listening to Winged Nation.
This is NASCAR K&N Pro Series East driver Dominique Van Weringen, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to Kyle and Buddy.
All right, thank you very much, Dominique. Welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast. As promised, our first 2016 NASCAR champion joins us here in studio, Cayden Lapcevich. Cayden, welcome to NASCAR Coast to Coast and the Motor Racing Network.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Been a whirlwind season for you and week, I'm sure. Got to be excited about what transpired last Saturday at Kawartha Speedway in a second place finish and your first championship.
Yeah, it's been the dream season that wasn't supposed to happen the way I look at it. Everything fell into the right place, and to have that reward at the end to be able to call ourselves champion is it's really cool.
And for a lot of people that may not know, you guys really didn't go into the beginning of the year planning to run the entire season until you saw a little bit of success. Even with that, I know it was a family-operated team, no major sponsor on the car. How were you able, even though you knew you were doing well, still able to put everything together financially and keep going?
It was just that push and that desire to go out and run good at the racetrack. There's the motivation to go and keep putting in the good results, and to try and attract that corporate funding to help us get to the track next weekend. We were able to pick up a little one-off sponsors here and there, but most of it was out of our own pockets, and it for sure wasn't easy, but the reward at the end was definitely what made it that much better.
Your dad, of course, is Jeff Lapcevich, a longtime competitor in the NASCAR Pinty series, and before that, I believe, even in the CASCAR days. Yep. How has he been able to help you through this season as father / crew chief?
Me and my dad, we just really connect really good. I think that's what's been, so good about working alongside my dad as a crew chief, is that the connection is there, and that we can, throughout the week we can discuss, like, if this is going on with the car, we can change this, and if this is happening, we can do this. And working at the shop with him definitely makes it a whole lot better, because I get to learn from him, and he's the guy that's taught me everything throughout my racing career, from the quarter midgets to the super stock at Sunset and now to this. So just working beside him and being a family run team is it's a really cool feeling. It's everything we try to do is family surroundings. So to be able to do it with my family by my side is definitely another really cool part of this.
It's truly a remarkable story because, as we talked about at the top of the broadcast, it wasn't until race number 7 until you got the first victory. But you were in the hunt. You were lying in the weeds the entire time because you never finished outside the top 10. I think your first finish was 8th the entire season, maybe a couple of times, but it was just an incredible year. But take us through what it's like as a rookie. I mean, I know you've been around this a little bit with your dad being a part of it, but to know that you're beating the Dumoulin's, the Taglianis, the Rangers, the DJ Kenningtons, I mean, drivers that have really established a huge career here in this series, and now to put your name right up there with them.
It's another one of those things that's really cool because it's, going to the track when I was little, watching my dad and my uncle race, I also grew up watching those guys race and compete for championships, and how hard of competitors they were on the track and how hard they worked off the track in the pits and stuff. So, to go out there and race beside them and challenge them for wins and be able to bang doors with them is, it's a really cool feeling, and it's it's something that I wish every driver could experience one day because it's really cool to be racing against your idols.
Absolutely. Before we go any further, I understand your class is watching right now. So
as far as I know, they are.
Let's say hello to all the folks at South Lincoln High School in Smithfield, Ontario.
What class are you missing? That's our famous question.
What time is it?
It's a little afternoon time?
12:16 Eastern.
So math.
Good. So, I hate math.
I do too. That was my worst.
So, hi everybody back at school. I'll see you guys
He's
tomorrow.
having fun in Charlotte.
Yep.
Where we maybe go-karting later.
I'm noticing a participant permit, and I'm wondering what this is. What is this? You didn't need that to get into here. Where you been?
This is actually from Kawartha. It's
the championship wristband right there.
Well, that and it's a little thing that I've done ever since I started stock car racing, where I keep my wristband for the week before, and I change it over. So it's one of those those things that you just stay attached with and you don't give up over time.
So you're going to keep that on till May?
Well, I race in a couple weeks.
Okay. That's right. The velocity's coming up, right?
Yeah, I'm not racing that,
okay.
But I'm going to race like the Autumn Colors Classic,
okay,
and maybe a couple other late model events. But
good deal. All right. You mentioned Sunset Speedway, and I wish we could have gone a couple of weeks ago to an event out there when we were up in Canada at the track in Bowmanville for the trucks. How did you get into motorsports, and kind of bring us through the timeline of what your career has looked like up until this point of your championship season?
So as far as I can remember, going and watching my dad and uncle race in the NASCAR series, which my grandpa got them started in. The old. They used to road race, and then they motorcycles, and Grandma said it's not safe, so she sold everything one week, and then they got into stock cars. So, as far as I can remember, I remembered, starting at the racetrack. I remember watching and, always sitting in the car, standing, trying to steer it and making my race car noises and stuff. But then it just went on. I'd go home and I'd play with my little toy cars around the coffee table, and I'd set up a track in the front lawn and race my ATV around it all by myself. And, and I think my parents saw that passion that I had for it already, and they put me in a quarter midget when I was 4. And my dad said at one point, he's like, I don't think this is going to work because, I went through this phase where I wouldn't pass my friends. And so I finally started passing my friends, and it just led to more and more. I went on to win national championships, regional championships. And, when I was 12, my dad thought I needed another experience, more of a challenge. So I jumped up into the super stock at Sunset Speedway, raced that for 4 years, won 2 championships there. And then I jumped into the Pinty stuff last year, ran 3 or 4, had a couple podiums, a couple top 5s, and then stepped into this year, and we're only going to run 2 or 3 races, but one thing led to another, and we were racing for a championship.
Kyle and I always like to talk about the health of a series, a racetrack, no matter what it is. Mm-hmm. We talked about the health of this program with some of the key names that have been anchors for this just a few moments ago, and the Taglianis, the Rangers, etc. But beginning last year, a rookie in the form of Gary Clute came away with a victory. Kevin Lacroix had 2 wins last year, was able to maintain his rookie status, and really had a phenomenal win in the finale, or not the finale, the second to last race at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It looks like the health of this program is very good. Yourself as a rookie, doing very well this year. Kevin Lacroix's right there, Gary Clute. Mix those in with the drivers that you already have. This is a phenomenal program.
Yeah, it people look at it as, it's smaller. There's not many of us. There's 13 or 14 of us at the average race, but we can put on a good show. There's lots of talent there. Guys have been doing it for most of their career. Guys like DJ and my dad all raced up until last year, and Jason Hathaway, and there's just so much talent in the field. It's unreal, and the series is only getting healthier with Pinty's coming on board, and the stuff that Tony Spiteri and his crew is doing for it, trying to bring in racers, trying to help us off the track to get to the racetrack. It's just, the series is definitely headed in the right direction.
You completed every lap this year. 2,172 of them, to be exact, and led a bunch of them, a couple hundred. But there were some challenges. You left Edmonton in third, but with, I believe, a bent-up race car, and had to work on it in a hotel parking lot. Kind of walk us through that night or a couple of nights to prepare for Saskatoon, which ultimately you would win.
So after Toronto, we didn't even know we were going out west. Me and my parents talked for a couple of days, and we didn't make up our mind we were going out west until 2 days before we had to leave. So I think I put in a 24-hour shift on the race car, doing all I could by myself while my dad was at work, and then the guys would come in, we'd collaborate, and I'd go home, sleep for a couple hours, and come back and do it all again. And then we'd go out west, and we didn't go out there with everything that we needed. We didn't take the spare body panels and stuff, but Trevor Siebert really stepped up, helping us get out there by taking our car and our pit carts and stuff. So that was really key to this whole season. And we went to Edmonton. We got tore up. Well, we still finished third. Lots of body damage and stuff. I think we even broke the window. But we sat in the hotel parking lot with one of the rad shrouds off another car, cutting the aluminum, patching up holes. Me and my dad and a couple crew guys did that for a few hours, and we did some minor setup on it. And and there was only 2 of us that were actually on the crew. The rest were all we found out there because we hadn't planned on going, so guys didn't book the time off, or they already had other stuff planned, which I could see because we hadn't planned on doing it. So one thing led to the next, and at the end of Saskatoon we were contending for a win, all in all. So that was a pretty big trip for us, and it's something I'll definitely look on and be able to tell for the many years to come.
At what point did it hit you guys that you knew you had a pretty good shot at possibly winning this championship?
I think it was after the Western Swing when we came out of there. Hadn't made up so many points that I lost at the tricky road courses like ICAR and Toronto, that I was able to gain back up on Ranger. So I think that was sort of the ultimate turning point for us. But even then we were still a partial time team at the moment, because I knew if I went in and had a bad race, I didn't expect to go to the next one if we had so much damage and stuff. So it was just a lot of me trying to run a clean race, run smooth, and not put myself in that bad position where I could ultimately take myself out of a championship run.
What's next, I guess, is then the next question. As we look ahead to 2017, a lot of drivers, a lot of teams putting stuff together. What do you hope to be doing when we switch the calendar page here in a couple months?
Hopefully be back down here running in the K&N, or potentially making some truck starts. But everything's got to fall into the right place, and right now I'm lacking that little bit of funding to get me here. So I'm trying to push to get that. So even if I can't run anything full time, I can still make a few starts to try and, I guess I want to say, prove myself that I can run with these guys, and I think I can do it. So everything's got to work out the right way. But hopefully I'm down here in the next year, or in February when K&N starts up.
Pretty good tattoo, too, as well. Tattoo, too. Which is the 76 and the checkered flags on it, which represents you and your dad. Man, we were so glad that you could make it into the studio with us here this weekend.
Well, thank you for having me.
And he's only 16 years old. We should mention that, right? He's still 16. Yep. So he couldn't run a full truck schedule next year.
True.
Because of the whole age limit with the bigger racetracks, but he could get some starts in there, get some experience for the future. Best of luck to you the rest of the season and in your off-season races, and we'll see you down here at the championship banquets in a couple months.
Well, thank you.
All right, what's next? Going go-karting with Tim Southers, or?
I don't know what he's got planned. He's got me on this crazy schedule
That's
for
all right.
every day until I fly out tonight.
It's good for them to keep you busy. Cayden Lapcevich joining us here in studios. You're 2016 NASCAR Pinty's Series champion. When we come back, we're going to talk local track racing. We'll go to South Boston Speedway. Their champion, Matt Bowling, will join us after the break.
Coming back with more of NASCAR Coast to Coast, it's Kyle Rickey and Buddy Long right after this.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
O'Reilly.
O-Rewards Member Appreciation Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts is ending soon. You won't want to miss the store-wide savings and double point deals on over 225 items. And if you're not already a member, sign up today during O-Rewards Member Appreciation Month. It's fast, easy, and free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
From work life to nightlife, from home to the road, your day can take you anywhere. These fast-paced times call for Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Advanced Comfort is designed to keep up with you, no matter where you go or what you're doing. They're made with 20% stronger denim and 4-way flex technology that moves with you. Wrangler Advanced Comfort. Go anywhere, look great, and be comfortable. Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Try on a pair today.
This is NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Here's Kyle and Buddy.
We've been talking the last couple of weeks about a lot of short tracks closing up shop, and this past weekend I see, 8, at least 9, maybe short tracks that wrapped up their 2016
I don't know. I didn't put
championship
them all in order like
season.
you did.
Well, sorry. South Boston Speedway was one of them, and their champion joins us on the guest line now. Matt Bowling, our first track champion that we're able to talk to this season, and we'll talk with Kyle Purvis coming up in a little bit from Columbus. Matt, congratulations. Another championship, your third, I believe, at South Boston, your second consecutive. Congratulations on the championship.
Yes, sir. Thank you. It was definitely a great year. We was able to, get the track and, unofficially get the state and the nation. So I'm still waiting to hear on that, but definitely a great year.
Now, while it's normally not procedure because we have such a quick hour, we normally don't have the opportunity to have callers on. But we decided as we get into the championship part of our program, we were going to allow a caller to call you specifically to congratulate you on your South Boston championship. So without further ado, caller, you are on the line.
Well, hey, guys. This is George Silberman at NASCAR. How you folks doing?
Good. How are you, George?
Doing good.
I'm well. Before we talk short tracks, let me give a shout-out to Cayden as well on his NASCAR Pinty Series title. As to proving himself, he certainly did that this year. And certainly to you, Matt, on your South Boston title. But I appreciate you having me on. I think all of your fans know that the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series is the backbone of NASCAR racing, with nearly 60 home tracks across the U.S. and Canada. And it's also one of the most difficult championships in racing. If you look over history, I think only 3 drivers have won the national championship more than once. It's really, really difficult to get. This year's championship was one of the most exciting and closely contested in history. If you followed it during the season, as many fans did, many drivers were in the hunt during the season. And essentially, it came down to contenders from 3 different regions of the country competing for that title in the closing weeks. And of course, as you would want to script it, the championship came down to the very last weekend. As you guys may or may not know, once the NASCAR points close, as they officially did this weekend, NASCAR does a thorough audit before officially announcing the national champion. So, Kyle and Buddy, if you guys don't mind, I'd like to turn my conversation specifically to Matt for a minute.
Absolutely.
Matt, about an hour ago, I was officially notified that audit has been completed and that you, Matt Bowling, are the 2016 NASCAR Whelen All-American Series national champion. So on behalf of the France family and all of us here at NASCAR, congratulations. You're a worthy champion, and we're looking forward to presenting you your trophy and your NASCAR championship ring and all of your accolades at the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series banquet at the NASCAR Hall of Fame in December. So it gives me great honor to pass on this official notification.
Okay, yeah. Thank y'all. It's definitely a great honor, and we worked hard for it all year. So it's I can't believe what a great year we've had, and it's definitely a great honor to be a part of a lot of great drivers.
Well, you're going to have to bone up on your acceptance speech now because it's in front of a packed room at the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and it's live streamed on the internet. So, but again, congratulations. You worked very hard for it. You contested against some great competitors in short track racing, and you came out on top.
Well, thank you. Thank y'all a bunch, and definitely a great honor.
Absolutely. George, thanks for taking the time to join us. George Silberman on the line, Vice President, NASCAR Regional and Touring Series. Understand it came right down to the final night, and I knew it was going to be tight because I saw Keith Rocco win a full field event at Waterford on Saturday night, and Ty Majeski had a good weekend as well. So I haven't seen the final points yet. As you mentioned, they were just kind of finalized within the hour, but it must have been pretty tight there at the top of the top 500.
Well, before I sign off, guys, and again, thanks for having me on, what I was officially handed was Matt Bowling with 678, Keith Rocco with 672.
Wow.
So a mere 6-point spread after an amazing season. Ty Majeski ended up in third, Nick Smith in fourth, and Lee Pulliam in fifth.
There you go. The top 5, and it comes down to 6 points and about 4 or 5 positions on the racetrack. George, thank you for joining us and delivering us the news, and we look forward to seeing you at the banquets here in a couple months' time.
All right. Thanks, guys.
George Silberman.
All right, thank you.
Vice President of NASCAR Regional and Touring Series. Matt, well, I guess we can be the first official to congratulate you on your championship. I guess what's kind of running through your mind right now as all of this unfolds?
Yeah, that's just unbelievable, man. We've had such a great year, and the best I've had ever. And to come away from a national championship and a track championship and a state championship is just unbelievable. So. A lot of hard work went into it, and I couldn't have done it by myself. So I had a lot of good guys and good crew and good sponsors.
And what's kind of interesting about this, and I know you had to kind of search around a little bit. I think Memorial Day weekend I was at Dominion Raceway. You were there. South Boston was your home track. But you did have to go to other racetracks, and you tried to get maximum points and, of course, victories. Pretty much doubled your win total. As you did a year ago. I think you were 9th in the overall national standings with 7 victories. This year, 14 victories at present with the opportunity to win a few more. What was the biggest difference for you guys from the offseason of last year to this year in doubling up on those victories at a very tough South Boston Speedway?
Yeah, we unloaded pretty good at the beginning of the year, and we just kind of worked hard to keep up with the racetrack, and we got to traveling around and racing so much, it really helped us, get pretty good on the setup and the car everywhere we went. So, all racing so much definitely helped us and, helped me. We got just the biggest thing was where we started out so strong. We had South Boston that definitely helped get the ball rolling and got the momentum going our way.
At what point do you start looking at the national championship? I know we talked to Keith Rocco a couple months ago, and he said, I don't want to look at them. I don't want to see them. I don't want to know about them. And there are several drivers out there like that. Others like to analyze everything and know where they are and what they have to do to advance. What was kind of your take on that this season, and when do you start looking at the points if you did?
Yeah, we definitely took notice of it at the beginning of the year when we were leading it, but kind of my marker was like mid-July. If we were still leading it by then, definitely had to really turn it up and try to go for it. Kind of when everybody got to 18 races and things start shaking out some, that's when you kind of see where he was and if he really had a shot at it.
Now, last year compared to this year, I believe you were in the midst of battles for 2 championships. I think you were also at Motor Mile Speedway. I think you and Lee Pulliam had a pretty good battle going on there for the championship. Was there any off-season strategizing based off of where you finished in the national standings last year? Like, we're going to have a team meeting. Let's figure out how to best approach this championship run and win it, because I know you kind of changed up a little bit of where you went. I know you stuck at South Boston, but was there any off-season strategizing to determine the path that you were going to take to try and win this championship?
I'll be honest with you, not really. I mean, we just really started out the year. We were going to travel around a little bit. It really wasn't going to run, really every weekend like we wound up doing. Like I said, we just got to winning and realized we had a shot at it, and got to traveling some more and try to pick up some more wins.
What's left on your schedule for this year? Obviously, a lot of tracks are shutting down. The NASCAR Whelen All-American Series Championship season is over, and you are the champion. But coming up, a lot of big races still left. They include, obviously, the Valley Star Credit Union 300 at the Martinsville Speedway, October 15th and 16th. Is that on your schedule, and are there some other events on your schedule as we close in on the holidays?
It is definitely Martinsville. That's my home track. Definitely looking forward to that one. Also, might wind up hitting Myrtle Beach to see how Martinsville goes. That's the one on my list right now, and may hit some more after that.
We talked at the top of our show about the strength of South Boston Speedway this year, and I think when the season started off, there was roughly 31 cars that were in the pits, which is absolutely phenomenal. But during the course of the year, and we were doing a little tracking, I think the lowest number you guys had in a late model stock car event was 17. I know you need 18 to get your maximum points and do what you need to do to make sure you come out of that weekend in good shape. That's pretty phenomenal when you look at so many other racetracks that would beg to at least have 17 to 18 entries. What is it? I know there's been a lot of great names that have come into South Boston that have made etched their names in NASCAR history. What is it about that facility that makes it so engaging, not only for the fan but for the driver as well?
Just a great racetrack and creates great racing. It's it's run very well. They do a great job running it. Made some great changes during the off season to save the racers some money, and that definitely helped the car count out this year. So it was everything worked out good, and I was definitely thankful that the car count was so good there all year, and it really made us gave us a shot at the national championship.
Well, you had a clue about winning the championship. George verified it just a few moments ago. So I'm assuming you haven't had a chance to let it totally sink in that you're the champion. But when you think about Larry Phillips, he is in the Hall of Fame, or actually a candidate to go into the NASCAR Hall of Fame for the NASCAR Weekly Racing Series with so many national championships. You look at Lee Pulliam. You look at Keith Rocco, who you beat out, who's won a national championship before. You look at Peyton Sellers. You look at Philip Morris, Barry Begley, other NASCAR Whelen All-American Series national champions, not to mention going further back and to the higher levels, Timothy Peters. The Sadler brothers, also the Burton brothers. So much history and tradition. Have you had a chance to actually sit down and think about where your name has just been etched along with so many others?
Yeah, it's definitely I really haven't sunk in too much right now, but it's it's definitely a great list of drivers to be a part of, and that's pretty neat, man. It ain't sunk in completely yet, but I'm sure it will in the next day or so, hopefully. But it's just a lot of hard work went into it, and like I said, I can't thank my guys enough for sticking with me and putting in the work this year.
That's going to be my next question: is where's the celebration tonight? Now that once you get off the phone with us, is there a celebration to be planned, or are we going to go back to working on the race car?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I've been logging all morning here, so I don't know what'll happen. I'm sure we'll try to do something.
All right. Well, talk about a phone call that can change the day around right there.
Yes, indeed.
Matt Bowling just got one. Matt, congratulations on your national championship, on your South Boston championship. A lot of success this season, and it's been fun to follow you all season long.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for having me on, and y'all have a good one.
All right. Matt Bowling joining us here. Like George said a moment ago, better go to work on that speech.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be the the main speaker Friday night, the first night of the two for the banquet week here in December.
Well, you know who he reminds me of, and it was a gentleman that we talked to last year or did the speech, and that was Lee Pulliam. Lee's kind of a quiet, unassuming person. He does all of his talking on the racetrack, just like Matt did this year. But Lee, if you remember, because he was talking about the accident that his wife had, the birth of the impending birth of their child, and what speech that started out so slowly. I mean, as he continued on, he brought down the house. He had people crying in that room. And Matt Boland's got a lot to live up to, but I think he's going to have a great time down there in Charlotte, and we wish him the best in December.
And the top three get to speak, and that includes Keith Rocco this year.
Yes.
So if you remember Keith Rocco's speech from a couple of years ago, that brought the house down as well. So that was fun. Coming up, we're going to talk to another track champion from the Columbus Motor Speedway. Unfortunately, a track that we mentioned earlier in the show will not continue operation. Kyle Purvis, the final late model champion there, will join us after the break.
NASCAR Coast to Coast will be right back on MRN.com.
It's that time of year again, folks. We're in the thick of race season, and the finish line is approaching. You better keep those brats on the barbecue and those beverages in the cooler, because this is the fun part. Toyota Racing is cheering on the team until those checkered flags are waving. The NASCAR Sprint Cup can only go to one car and driver, and we hope it's one of ours in Camry. Just last year, Kyle Busch took home the Sprint Cup Series championship in his Camry, and we're looking to keep that winning tradition alive. So let's go, Kyle Busch. Let's go, Carl Edwards. Let's go, Matt Kenseth. Let's go, Denny Hamlin. Let's go, Camry. And let's go to our newest team member, Martin Truex Jr. Toyota Racing Team, keep your feet on those gas pedals, and may we see one of you doing victory laps this year. Head on over to toyotaracing.com to find more info on our team of drivers. NASCAR is a registered trademark of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, Inc.
Hey, this is NASCAR Canadian Tire Series driver LP Dumoulin, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to Kyle and Buddy.
Former NASCAR Pinty Series champion had to settle for, I believe, 5th in the final running order this year and got beat by a 16-year-old. That kid
beat him.
Whooped them all up north of the border this season, and glad he could join us earlier in the show as well. Joining us now on the guest line, Kyle Purvis, the late model champion this year at Columbus Motor Speedway in Columbus, Ohio, won the championship by a whopping 10 points over Donnie Hill, and he joins us now on the guest line. Kyle, welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast. Congratulations, another great season for you out there. You've had several in the past, whether it be in a modified or in the late model. It's been a good couple of seasons for you out at Columbus.
Yes, it has. Good afternoon, fellas. We've had a good last few years, and this year, it come down to nail biter with Donnie Hill and the track points and winning by 10 points. It was definitely nice to come out on top this year.
Well, and I think, when I look at results, as Kyle does each and every week, and we start planning our show, I got to give kudos to Columbus Motor Speedway, because that's probably one of the easiest websites to go to and get results, get points, get the schedule, know what's going on, and it's also a track that's got one of the tightest points battles it did last year. I think between yourself, Kyle Jones, who was the champion last year, as you mentioned, Kyle, Donnie Hill, Cody Robinson, you got a good collection of very good late model drivers, and you guys come right down to the wire every year.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great, talented racers that come out of Columbus Motor Speedway. If you look around at the end of the year when Columbus closes, there's a few guys that go and travel. Whether that's CRA or Top Speed Modified Series, but, there's a lot of drivers that can go out of Columbus and go compete and also win at other tracks and other divisions.
So you had to be torn the last night that you guys were scheduled to run, which sadly was rained out, because I'm sure you wanted maybe a rain out to lock this championship up, but then in the opposite end of the spectrum, the last NASCAR event to be held at the racetrack was scheduled to be that night. That had to be a tough one.
Yeah, it's really tough. The Knuckles family at Columbus Motor Speedway, they've done a great job over the years, and it's sad to see that the track is closing at the end of this year. but I also understand on their part why they sold it to the city Obets. Wish them, the best down their road throughout the next few years. But we really don't know what we're going to do as far as, what we call home track is Columbus Motor Speedway, and we don't know what we're going to call home now,
Yeah, and actually, I was talking to Cody Robinson a week ago. Cody came up through our karting ranks, and I was wishing him a happy birthday, and that's all I texted him about. But right behind that, he said, "Yeah, it kind of sucks that we're losing our NASCAR track, and there's not really another close NASCAR track that we can run at." But you guys have done a pretty phenomenal job when you look at just the one track that you have to race at and putting on such a great show. Tell us about Columbus Motor Speedway. I mean, the grandstand side, is this a place that just had the energy each week and was just packed for the race fans?
Yeah, I mean, Columbus always got a really, really good count of people in the stands, and the energy level was always high, and you always look forward and, to go to Columbus each and every week to have fun and race with your friends, and also to see a lot of your friends supporting you in the stands.
What was the mood like this year there? This was an announcement that was made at the beginning of the season during the last offseason that this would be the final year, the 71st and final year for Columbus Motor Speedway. Did that dampen the mood at all during the course of the summer months?
No, I mean, really, all in all, I mean, it's still upsetting as far as, middle of the season, everybody's, hey, we have, 8 or 10 races left, and we have a lot of racing, but, come down to the last few races, I told my family and everybody we race with that, we were, especially with the rain out the last night, it just doesn't really feel like it's come to an end.
So Kyle's taking his late model to Crash-A-Rama this weekend. He's just going to finish off in fine style. What got you started racing and picking Columbus Motor Speedway as your track?
Well, honestly, I grew up around drag racing. My grandpa and my dad, they drag raced their whole lives, and I actually got brought up into drag racing, and I kind of wanted to do something a little bit different and something that takes longer than 8 seconds or 7 seconds. And so I decided I wanted to do some of the asphalt, roundy round stuff, and we started off with a compact and run it for about 10 races, and decided to get my modified in 2011. And we've moved up pretty quick. Last year we were the Division II national champion with the modified in the NASCAR home tracks, and we decided, run for points this year with Kyle Jones and his race cars, and we also did well this year as well.
Do you still have your modified, and is that an option going forward? Again, I was talking with Erica Newcomb the other day, who has been battling some health issues this year, was unable to compete, checking in on her, and she reminded me that you guys also lost Killcare Speedway last year, so I had forgot about that, but that's another racetrack that you guys no longer, have an option to run at.
Yeah, there's just I don't know if anybody, we haven't heard yet if there's any other racetracks that are thinking about possibly opening. I know Mansfield is a little bit about an hour north of Columbus. We actually raced my modified there 3 times this summer, and they were trying to get the ball rolling, but I don't know what their plans are for 2017, but it's kind of up in the air what we're going to do. I do still own we still have my modified that we are going to be racing in Winchester in 2 weeks. So we have some different options, just kind of have to see what route and what the racetracks around Ohio are going to do.
Well, and hopefully if what the past 2 or 3 years, if that's any indication with NASCAR, they have really been beating the bushes and have found so many more tracks that they have added to the Whelen All-American Series. What I like so much about the state of Ohio, there's only 3 tracks, I believe, Lake County, Limaland, and Columbus, is, you're an asphalt racing facility running asphalt late models, but yet you're running against the guys that are running the UMP modifieds at a dirt track in Limaland, Ohio for the Ohio State Championship points. How cool is it to know that you're not just running against another fellow late model asphalt track, that you're running against a totally different form of racing as far as the type of track and the type of car?
I think it's neat. I can relate because of last year, Rocky Warner, he finished second in the nation in Division II. and he was on dirt, and I never got to meet Rocky, but I obviously I kind of searched him on Facebook and kind of was trying to figure out if he was racing anywhere there when we come down to the wire, and it's kind of cool. You also get to see different kind of racing and also see what the other people are doing clear across the other side of the country or in the state of Ohio points. Lima Land, like you said, they race dirt, and it's pretty neat. I like it how it's wide open, just so it gives everybody kind of a shot at the NASCAR titles.
How big is your race team as far as the cars that you have? I'm assuming you just either have one or two late models and a handful of people that may go with you at the racetrack on any given night.
Yeah, we just have a handful of people, 4 to 5 usually every night. Whether that's us racing with Kyle Jones Racing or racing with my modified with my dad.
I know it's a rather dubious distinction, but how much does it mean to you to know you're leaving Columbus Motor Speedway as their final champion in late models?
It's pretty cool. I don't think it's really all set in yet, but to be the last late model champion that's going to come out of Columbus Motor Speedway is a great accomplishment. And at the first of the year, we sat down, and that's what we wanted to do with racing with Kyle Jones and his 2 late models, was to try to get the last track championship. And luckily enough, and we were good enough this year to be able to come out on top.
By 10 points over Donnie Hill. Kyle, congratulations. Thank you for joining us here on the show, and best of luck to you in the future. Keep us posted on where we may see you in 2017.
Thank you very much. Thanks for talking with me today, guys, and you guys have a good day.
All right, we appreciate it. Kyle Purvis, Columbus Motor Speedway track champion, driving for Kyle Jones Racing this year out of that area. It's a bummer to lose a racetrack, any racetrack,
yes,
anytime. But a track that first opened in 1946 as a dirt track for motorcycles. It was then paved in 1957, and they've been running stock cars there ever since.
Well, you know as well as I do, when you lose a track, you lose drivers, because if there's not an alternate track within reasonable driving distance or even shares the rules based off the classes that you have, you lose drivers, and that's what you hate to see. It's a sad fact of life. It's going to happen. And taking it one step further, that's another track that the K&N Pro Series East loses.
Yep.
It's been a good track, especially for the Rev Racing gang. They've had a lot of good success out there, so there's another hole in the schedule that's got to be filled to replace that event as well, or that venue. So, sad times, in Columbus, Ohio. They still have their Buckeyes, but that's football. We need racetracks, so let's make sure that we get another one.
And I'm hearing that there might be a new schedule or a new track or two added to the K&N schedule for next year.
Cool.
So we'll see.
Oh, I know where you're going.
I'm just saying.
Well, you know what? When I found out about this, and actually I was watching part of the show last week and thought about the Columbus deal, and I kind of went to the K&N side. It's like, you know what? I kind of have a feeling where another venue is going to be next year. And if anybody knows Kyle as well as we know Kyle, and he's got grins all over his face, I think you know where that track's going to be.
To be announced soon.
Yes.
To be announced soon. Speaking of great racetracks and car counts and tracks that were almost gone away, and I know we got to get to the break, Waterford Speed Bowl, 2 years ago, we didn't know if that track was going to exist in 2015, 2016. Last week they had 31 modifieds or 32 modifieds for 29, and 29 started. They had 19 late models. They had 22 sportsmen, and they had like 26 mini stock. The only track that I've seen that has had 3 or 4 divisions right up, in that 18 or 20, 22 bracket. I don't know where all the modifieds came from late in the season. Usually you go the other way.
You hit the nail on the head. The end of the year.
Right.
I mean, you don't have those numbers at the end of a year. That's phenomenal.
All right, we're going to preview the upcoming season, review some of the other tracks that crowned track champions this past weekend when we come back here on NASCAR Coast to Coast.
Coming back with more of NASCAR Coast to Coast, it's Kyle Rickey and Buddy Long right after this.
From work life to nightlife, from home to the road, your day can take you anywhere. These fast-paced times call for Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Advanced Comfort is designed to keep up with you, no matter where you go or what you're doing. They're made with 20% stronger denim and 4-way flex technology that moves with you. Wrangler Advanced Comfort. Go anywhere, look great, and be comfortable. Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Try on a pair today.
The 2016 drag racing season is off and running, and MRN Straight Line is your weekly source for everything NHRA.
Hey, Erica, so you were in a Chevy for a long time, and now all of a sudden in a Dodge.
We've had to build an entire new engine program at our shop.
Join Marty Huff and Doug Herbert every Thursday at noon Eastern on MRN.com, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts and Hercules Tires. It's the Straight Line, only on the Motor Racing Network.
Motor Racing Network has a way for you to reach out and express your thoughts and opinions on NASCAR. It's the MRN Fan Forum Hotline.
Wondering what's the first thing you tend to
I was curious about those new rules from what I heard.
Call in 844-4-ASK-MRN. Got a question or comment for a driver or MRN personality? 844-4-ASK-MRN.
You guys keep it on. Let's see you guys next
It's
weekend.
the Fan Forum Hotline, your connection to the sport of NASCAR.
This is NASCAR Cayden Pro Series East driver Justin Haley, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to Kyle and Bunny.
A lot of breaking news here on the show today. We just crowned the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series Division I National Champion live on the air with Matt Bowling picking up that title. The Drive for Diversity Combine, they announced just a few moments ago that it's going to switch racetracks for this season. New Smyrna Speedway will host the D4D Combine on October 10th through the 12th. Bobby Santos is a new dad, so congratulations to that former modified champion. He and wife Christy on their new son. And I believe we have a retirement out of the NASCAR Pinty Series, or at least a part-time retirement out of the NASCAR Pinty Series. And the series' newest winner, Jason Hathaway.
Yeah, just picked up the win at Kawartha Speedway, had a very good season on the Pinty Series. He's been a staple on that series, and if that is the case, another driver that will be sorely missed going into next year.
All right, let's look at some results from this past weekend. All-American Speedway, they held their championship night out in California. Mark Gardner picked up the Street Stock Championship by 12 points over Dan Farrington. That's their main class. They're done for the year except for their Fall Classic this weekend.
You mentioned New Smyrna a few moments ago. The NASCAR points came to a conclusion. Track points are still going on. The Pro Late Models went to Carter Stokes over Brad May. Brad currently leads the Pro and Super Late Model point standings.
Elko Speedway out in Minnesota, Nick Pansky took down the race win in the Super Late Model feature over Chris Merrick on the championship night. Jacob Godey picked up the track championship.
Championship Sunday at Airborne Park Speedway. It was Chris Cailla taking the victory over Bucko Branham and Danny Sullivan. Nick Haywood picks up his 5th modified championship at Airborne Park.
11 and I-44 Speedway out in Missouri rained out their championship night. Brian Brown won the late model title, and Tim Swearigan picked up the modified track championship.
Adams County Speedway, Corning, Iowa. Paul Glendenning comes home second on championship night, takes the dirt late model championship.
At Monadnock Speedway, Cameron Sontag picked up the final feature of the season in the track's Sportsman Modified division. Joel Monahan won in Superstocks. Bill Kimball picked up the Sportsman Modified Championship by 52 points over Keith Carzello.
Kern County Raceway Park, the Lucas Oil Modifieds ran with Travis Thurkettle taking the victory. The next event for late models coming up this weekend. Buddy Shepard currently with a 34-point lead over Cole Adamo.
Have you hit Riverhead yet?
No.
Let's talk about Riverhead. Sean
Solomito
Solomito and Kyle Soper split the final night of competition in the modifieds in their double features. Sean also picked up the track championship, his second track title, and first since 2012.
Tucson Speedway Pro Stock winner was Ron Norman. The next event for Super Late Models coming up October 1st. Chuck Wares with a 31-point edge over Brandon Schilling.
I think we hit them all.
Magic Valley? Did we get Magic Valley?
No, we did not get Magic Valley. Go with Magic Valley.
Chris McKean, the winner. Chris McKean, the champion. So we are racking them up. We mentioned Colton Nelson. I told you he won the modified championship at Meridian Speedway. Trevor Christiani took the victory. But Colton will be one of the many drivers in a very good, strong field at Meridian Speedway. That's the, the second to last race. What do you think? Yes. That will be coming up this weekend.
And speaking of Meridian Speedway, Hannah Newhouse, I believe, picked up the Big 5 late model championship there. She will also be in the K&N Westfield this coming weekend. Stafford Motor Speedway, they ran their final Friday night race last Friday night. Glenn Reen picked up both the SK Modified and late model features. Rowan Pennick won the SK Modified championship with his 8th place finish, which was good enough to claim the title a week shy of their championship battle at the fall final in a couple weeks.
Whelen Euro Series, Anthony Coupin and Alain Day were winners in Italy. Their finale coming up at Zolder Circuit in Belgium October 8th and 9th. Pretty good battle coming down to the wire.
And 5 more tracks to crown champions this week in the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series. For Cayden, Lapcevich, Matt Bowling, Kyle Purvis. For Robbie Mays, Craig Moore, and Buddy Long, I'm Kyle Rickey. We'll see you back here next Wednesday on the Motor Racing Network.
This has been NASCAR Coast to Coast with MRN short track experts Kyle Rickey and Buddy Long. Tune in next Wednesday at noon at MRN.com for more talk from NASCAR home tracks and touring series. NASCAR Coast to Coast is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center or download from iTunes or Stitcher. NASCAR Coast to Coast is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.